Hey guys, how are you doing? Thank you for watching my video. I just want to give you guys a quick fix on a crank no start issue that I had a couple days ago. Basically, what happened was my car was working fine the whole entire day. Haven't had issues with it for a good while. Took it, drove it around. Uh, Picked up stuff for lunch, whatever, shopping. But at the end of the day, I started having a little bit of issues. I went to a supermarket to get some ice cream because I had a craving for ice cream. Spent about 30-40 minutes in the supermarket picking up a bunch of stuff uh, and came out. But when I went in to start the car, did not. It cranked, but it didn't start. The engine it wouldn't run. Okay, so I knew I had a bit of a situation. I didn't think it was that bad. So basically, what I did was, I first thing I did, like everybody else does, is go and check the battery. All right. So basically, what I did first was I turned on my headlights just to see whether the headlights were strong or not. Now, granted, it was it was in the afternoon, later in the afternoon, the sun was out, but I could still see the beams. So at that point, I kind of knew that it's probably something a little bit bigger, maybe not a weak battery, maybe not a dead battery. So I put my hood up and I looked at the terminals just to see whether the terminals were corroded, and there was some corrosion on the terminals. All right, and I've had this happen before, but mostly in the winter time, where if there's corrosion in the terminal, you would get power to pretty much everything, but it won't be strong enough to crank the vehicle. Had that happened before, so I was like, okay, hopefully this situation can be resolved with something as simple as a can of Coke. So I actually bought a case of Coke. Good thing. I took out a can and I poured it over the terminals, thinking it would be a quick fix. Took some paper towel and pretty much just clean it. And at that point, I was hoping that that would resolve my issue. Went back into my car, tried to start it, and guess what? No, it didn't start. It didn't start. Didn't crank. No way. It cranked, but it didn't start. But the crank was pretty strong. All right, it wasn't like it was a weak crank. It was a pretty strong crank, but it still didn't turn over. So at that point, I was thinking probably not a weak battery that's causing it, because I was thinking it probably wasn't a weak battery that was causing it. So I was like, okay, maybe I didn't clean it up enough, because they were pretty tight on the battery and I didn't actually wiggle them out. But I was hoping the Coke, the fizzing and the oxidation of the Coke, it did actually dissolve a lot of the crud that was on there. Was some white greenish crud that was on there, but it was a little bit of it. So at that point, I asked a couple of people around me to help me jump my car, and I'm glad there was one person there who was willing to help me jump my car. Had cables in the back, took the cables out, popped it on my battery, and then popped it on the other car's battery, and had it running for a good minute or two before I actually tried to crank it. And I cranked it, and it cranked as strong as it was before, but it didn't run. It didn't turn over. It didn't run. It didn't run. So at that point, I knew that I could rule out the battery. I could 100% rule out the battery, because if the battery was kind of weak, I would have been able to get enough juice from the other car with my battery to at least turn it over, or the crank would have been a bit stronger. But the crank was strong, from the very start of the issue. So I was like scratching my head at that point. Obviously, it's now a bigger situation than a battery situation. At that point, I could rule out the battery. I could rule out the alternator. I know it's not the battery. I know it's not the alternator. I know it's not the cable terminal connectors, which could have been, but I ended up cleaning that up. When I got home. So and it wasn't the negative cable either. It wasn't a weak ground wire, because I actually did check the ground wire to the frame of the car, and it was connected, and it wasn't really corroded, wasn't rusted, so I could rule that out. And ruling all those things out, I was like, what else could I rule out? Okay, everything else works. Everything else works with the car. The lights are on the dash. The radio turned on. The whatchamacallit, the blower, the vent blower turned on. Not a problem with any of those things. All right. So I was thinking to myself, all right, I've got 2 canisters of ice cream, and I'm killing time here, and I just have enough time to get my ice cream. I'm running out of time to get my ice cream home. I might just have to dump it, or maybe eat it if I gotta get a tow truck for it. But anyway, back to this story. All right, back to this DIY analysis and resolving of the situation that I was having. So basically, I was like, okay, I know that there was no check engine light on my dash. I know that for 100%, there was no check engine light on my dash before this issue happened. So I could rule out a bunch of other things. I could tentatively rule out a bunch of other things, which I did. I ruled out the mass airflow sensor, the crankshaft, the camshaft, throttle body, throttle mass airflow sensor, throttle position sensor, all that stuff I could rule out, because there was no check engine light. So what I did anyway was I plugged in an OBD2 reader, which I had. I had an OBD2 reader, a $19 cheap OBD2 reader that I had bought from Walmart just a couple months ago. I plugged it in. All right, there might be a chance, a very slim chance, that maybe the car's computer was having issue connecting to the car itself. If you guys don't know about the ECU, ECM, the car's computer needs to be connected to the car for it to start. In any case, I plugged it in, and I was hoping that it just run through, the whole entire, run through the whole entire analysis. I plugged it in, and it just went through everything. It went through all the sensors, everything, got to the end, told me there was no issues with anything, there was no errors, nothing like that. So at that point, I was 100% sure that the car's computer, ECU, ECM, was good. Could rule that out, because the connection, it allowed the computer to read everything. That was good. And on top of that, I could rule out any of the possible other issues that might cause it. Rule that out. So at that point, I was left with just a couple of things. If you guys are in this same situation, I'm pretty sure you guys are. If you guys are viewing this, I'm going to help you guys out if you guys are having similar situations with this. And we're going to get to how I resolved the situation and drove my car back home. All right. Now, other things that I was thinking about was maybe it was the key fob. Maybe the key fob had issues. But I did change out the battery maybe like a month ago. I changed out the battery a month ago. I know the battery is strong. I could tentatively rule out the key fob being the issue. So I was like, okay, let's get rid of all the simple possibilities first before we start on thinking about more complicated issues that could be causing this. So if you guys are still with me, I was like, okay, maybe it's the fuel pump. All right. So what I did was, normally what you want to do in these situations, if it was the fuel pump, you want two people, one person to turn to get the car to the on position, and another person in the back of the gas, where you guys pump the gas at, the little gas cap area, and take the gas cap off and listen to whether you could hear come out some kind of whizzing sound, motorized whizzing sound. So I was like, okay, I didn't have anybody there at the time. What I did was, I pretty much got in the car, put up all the windows, and turned the car to the on position, and I was trying to listen to a whizzing, kind of motorized whizzing sound, and wasn't I couldn't pick up anything, to be honest. I think I couldn't pick up anything, to be honest. Doing that, I did that a couple of times, so I was like, I kind of gave up on that. And outside of that, I was like, okay, let's move on, because if I can't pick that up, there could be a problem with the fuel pump. There couldn't be a problem with the fuel pump, but there's other things that could cause the fuel pump not to go on. And that's when I actually looked at the fuses and the relays and all that stuff. I was looking at all the fuses. And I was thinking to myself, okay, now I didn't have a fuse tester with me. Guys in this situation, probably would be great if you guys had a fuse tester. If you guys at Walmart, they sell that. I was at Walmart. I was at the supermarket parking lot. Anyway, I was looking at all the fuses, trying to see if there was any kind of burnt fuse, whether I was able to smell any kind of weird, burnt smell from the box, but did not see any of that from a visual check. On a visual check, could not delineate whether there was anything, whether the fuse would pop. The fuses look good to me. All right. Now, when I got to the relays, I was thinking to myself, okay, let's check the fuel pump relay, see if the fuel pump relay was the problem. Now, I couldn't test it out. Okay. Personally, I couldn't, test it out. So what I did was, I took another relay on the board that was the same, similar as the relay for the fuel pump, and I swapped it. And then I got back into my car and tried to turn it on, and guess what, guys? It cranked up. Guys. So if you guys are in this situation, and if you guys have similar issues as what I'm explaining to you guys, it could be your fuel pump relay that's causing it, which I'm glad about, because it could have been the fuel pump that was the issue. But it turned out to be the fuel pump relay. I was able to take it to swapped it out, and then drove it to an AutoZone, bought a relay, similar relay, and then popped it in, and haven't had any problems since. And the ice cream, I spent about 45 minutes doing that. 45 minutes, an hour DIYing that, and I was able to get my ice cream back home, and had some really good ice cream. I bought like coffee flavored and pecan, I think, and I am so glad, because the 2 buckets of ice cream would have melted. I would have been pretty disappointed, but anyway, regardless, let's get back to what I was saying about this situation. Now, if you guys are in this situation, and you guys want to do a DIY of it, just go down the list of everything that I went through in this video, step by step. It will pretty much eliminate all the stuff that could possibly cause it. Now, it won't eliminate everything, because if you guys went through all those steps and you guys are still having the situation, there is a chance that you might have like a bigger issue. Maybe not a bigger issue, maybe an issue with your ignition, with your brakes, not your brake switch, but maybe your ignition cylinder, something like that. Outside of that, yeah, guys, long story short, just to summarize, it worked out for me. Hopefully this helped you guys fix your issue. It's kind of common sometimes for like a fuse or a relay to blow out, and then you guys would have a crack no start situation. But it worked out for me. I'm glad I didn't have to put any more money than I did into the situation. But in any case, please share your story in the comment section. If you guys want to share your comment in the comment section about this video, about your situation or whatever, please give me a thumbs up, and please subscribe, guys. All right, have a good night.